trust Him. Whatever challenges you're dealing with, He's asking you to trust Him. Amen. Hear now the word of God from the book of Exodus in the Old Testament. The third chapter, and beginning with verse 1, the book of Exodus, chapter 3. And now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the far side of the desert. He came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And there the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. And so Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. And when the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them out of the land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me. And I have seen the way of the Egyptians. I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So go now. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of His word. What if God chooses you? What if God chooses you? On fourth Sundays, we pause to have a dialogue with our youth. And I realize that during this vacation season that many are out and on vacation. But I want to ask our youth that are here today, and I want to ask you that are parents, my young people, what if God chooses you to do something great? What if God chooses you? What if God chooses us to do something great? What if God says, I have plans for you? It won't be long. In fact, the next time that we have Youth Sunday on the fourth Sunday in August, many of our youth will already be back in school. They will be back in college. They will be back in public school, elementary or middle school or high school. The session will already begin. And as we began in less than 3 weeks, the school year, I want every parent, I want every young person to ask themselves, what would happen if God were to choose me to do something great? You see, that's what happened with Moses. Moses was used to seeing bushes on fire, but he was not used to seeing a bush that was on fire that would not be consumed. All right. And so it sparked his curiosity. He goes up to this bush and he notices the bush, and the strange thing about the text is that the text says that the bush knew Moses. The bush is on fire, and the bush says, "Moses, Moses."
All right.
Moses had to reply by saying, "Here I am." What would happen, church, if God chooses you to do something great? I say this to our young people because God has something for every generation. And so as we began our school year in just a few weeks, and as you began to prepare yourself, I want you to ask yourself, what would happen if God decided that He was going to use you to do something great? There's a young man by the name of Jeremy Anderson, who was from Moss Point, Mississippi. Jeremy Anderson in 2014 became the youngest legislator, African American, in the history of the state of Mississippi. All right. In fact, Jeremy Anderson at the time was still in college at Tulane. Jeremy would tell you the story that he went to bed one night, and in his dream, the Lord shared with him, at 19 years old, that I'm going to use you for my purpose. At 19. Jeremy said, well, maybe it was just a dream, no real purpose. By the time he was 22 years old, he was elected to the House of Representatives for the state of Mississippi out of Moss Point, Mississippi, District 110. Becoming the youngest legislator, black or white, in the history of Mississippi. Amen. So I ask you again, what happens? What would you do if God says, I want to use you for something great? As a young person, I would challenge you as we start this school year, as you prepare to go back to equip yourself, make sure that you do nothing foolish that would prevent God from using you. Make sure, parents, that we try to encourage our young people to say, young daughter, young man, that God could be setting you up to use you for His purpose. Because once you understand that, it makes a whole world of difference as to who I hang around. It makes a world of difference as to how I come to school every day. It makes a world of difference as to how I see myself. You see, Moses never thought that he would be leading God's people out of Israel. Young Jeremy never thought that he would be in the state house in the state of Mississippi, making decisions about the future of the residents of Mississippi. Elected by over 60% of the vote while 22 years old, never thought. And if he were here today, he would say, it started with a dream and the Lord saying, I am choosing you, Jeremy, to do my work. You see, the first problem is, church, we stop telling people and we stop impressing upon our children that God is still calling folk. I missed you last Sunday, so I feel like preaching a little bit today. But we've stopped telling folk that God is still in the business of calling folk. that God still has plans
Yes.
for people.
That's right.
And God still has a purpose for your life. And Paige, what would it be like if young Caitlin understood that God can use her to do something great? Sister Jefferson, what would it be like if your little boy and your little girl understood that God could use them to do something great? Brother Hazelwood, what would it be like if Tristan and Josiah understood that God can use them to do something great? What would it be like for our young people in this church if they understood that God can use them to be something and to do something great? It changes how they see themselves. So Moses came out in the desert and he sees a bush on fire and he hears a calling of God. You see, the church must always say to the next generation, child, God's got a calling for you. Our foreparents used to tell us, child, be careful who you hang with. My mother and my grandmother, I never understood it. They could see my friends and they would say, I can read them like a book. Mama, how can you read somebody like a book? They'd ask you all kind of questions. Who's his people? And I said, oh, he's from the Smith. They said, oh, them Smiths crazy. Yeah, I've been knowing them Smiths all my life. And they can tell you, they can see somebody with you and they say, birds of a feather flock together. What if, my young people, I just want to speak to you this morning, what if God decides to choose you to do something great? You see, we only believe, many of us think that only God is just calling folk to be preachers, but you fail to realize that God is in the calling business for all walks of life. And he says to us, Moses,
Yes, sir.
I've heard my people. And I'm choosing you. I'm choosing you. Sister Soggs, what would it be like if God said to your two boys, I'm choosing you to do something great? Sister Pickman, what would it be like if God said to your grandson, I'm choosing you to do something great? What would it be like? What would it be like? What would it be like? Sister Williams, if God says, I'm using your two granddaughters to do something great. We must always make sure, my young brothers and sisters, that as we start this school year, that as you are not just going through the motions, you're not just, say, Mama and Daddy, do I really have to get up to go to school? I don't want to go today. But what if God is using you and preparing you to do something great? Makes a world of difference. That means that God may not use me if all my ambitions is to walk around and to show my underwear. Amen, lights. Maybe, can I really be used by God if all I want to do is hang out with folk who have intentions of going nowhere? Have you ever noticed, ask your parents, when they were teenagers, some of their friends, as my daddy used to say, ain't doing nothing but holding up the light pole. Sometimes when I go back to Phoenix and Harvey, they still holding up the light pole. That's their job. They've been deputized to hold up the light pole. Last year in Phoenix, we have a a program called Phoenix Fest, and people come from all over. One of my friends I knew in high school, he was not only holding up the light pole, but he had his favorite beverage. I teased him. I said, man, I didn't even know they made Boone's Farm. I didn't know it was still going on. We were drinking that in high school. They still make it. What would it be like for every young person here today, for every parent, for every grandparent, if you said, you know, just like God can use Moses, that he's still calling in generations today. Your son, your daughter. What if God says, I'm using you? I'm using you for something great. I'm using you for something great in the field of science. I'm using you for something great in the field of medicine. I'm using you for something great in the area of politics. I'm using you for something great in the area of business. Well, Sam, a couple times when Samaya was in college, he would come back and he would brag about how well she played. Samaya, I want you to know that your granddaddy is not short on being braggadocious. He would let us know that she was the best basketball player in the whole world. I said in the whole world, the whole world. Folk in China can't beat her, the Russians can't beat her, the whole world can't. Here's the picture. God can use somebody. Something great. On Youth Sunday, I want every young person here to know that just like God can call a Moses on a burning bush and he said, Moses, Moses, here am I, Moses said. I have chosen you.
Yes, sir.
I've chosen you to deliver my people.
That's it. That's it.
Young Jeremy Anderson would tell you, God chose him. He had the dream as a freshman in college at Tulane, struggling to get through. Mom and Daddy from Moss Point, Mississippi, had no money to send their child off to Tulane. And the Lord opened door after door after door.
Come on now.
And then the Lord says, I'm going to use this young black boy out of Moss Point, Mississippi, to be the youngest black legislator in the state of Mississippi. Now, why is that important? Because you know the history of Mississippi. You know the struggle of Mississippi. Many of us have our lineage to Mississippi. Mount Bayou is the lineage of my father. Those of you familiar with Moss Point, it's no Chicago. But God says, I am using you, Jerry, to do something great. Maybe it would help us to talk to our kids differently if we understood that God could use them to do something great. Son, daughter, you're not just sitting in the classroom to take up a space, but God may have his eyes on you to do something great. God is at work. And so as you start back to school, as you send your young child to kindergarten, understand that he or she may experience the burning bush. as they start elementary and middle school, understand that they may experience the burning bush. As they start high school and college, understand that they may experience the burning bush, where God says, look here, Moses, I have chosen you to do something great. Now, my young people, there always is the excuse. Because you might say, God, I'm from a poor family. Mom and Dad, they don't have no money. I'm not that well educated. I come from a school district that is not that well ranked. But when you read down the text, not only does God says, I've chosen you, God says, I am with you. I am with you. Isn't it odd that when God is with you, that he opens doors that no man can shut? How many of you ever known that God to be with you and you've seen him make a way out of no way? When God has been with you, is there any witnesses in the house today that said, Pastor, when God is with you, he's more than the world against you? But what do I tell them when I get down? Just tell them that I am. That I am. All right. That I am. Yes. Just tell them that I am. That I am. Well, how does this start? Yes. My young brothers and sisters. How does this start, my parents? It starts by you seeking God's face. It starts by you saying, God, I'm a grandparent, but I'm praying for my grandchildren. That you would use them to do something great. I pray that we stop having low expectations for our children. I pray that we stop having low to no expectations. Just listening to a lady in Tennessee, and she said she'd be glad just for her kids to get out of high school. And what are they going to do with that? What she really was telling me was, they got on my nerves so bad, I'll be glad if they just get out of high school, which means I can officially and legally put their butt out. To not have low to no expectation. Even in their worst moments. Remind them, child, what if God decided to use you to do something great? You think that you're riding high just because we can see Haynes across your butt?
All right, that's right. Say it.
You think you're riding high because you're hanging with Lukey and Lowdown? You think you're riding high because you can hang out all night long? What happens, my young brothers and sisters, if God decides to use you? So great. What happens? He shows up. And he says to that little 5-year-old, or that little 10-year-old, or that teenager, that I'm going to use you. You see, I have an expectation for every young person in this congregation. And that expectation is that I believe that God will use you to do something great. This is why I encourage you to come to church on a routine basis. This is why I encourage you to help your children to grow spiritually, because you cannot be spiritually weak and God's trying to use you to do something great. Amen. You never know. You never know how you might glance at that burning bush, that passion, that drive that God has placed in your spirit. God says today, my brother, my sister, but Pastor, I'm just 8 years old and I'm on the junior usher board. Pastor, I haven't even gotten to the second grade yet. Are you kidding me? Well, the Bible makes it very clear that when God formed you in your mother's womb, that He already had plans for you. Are you with me? Unless we just don't believe the word anymore, but the word says, He said, when I formed you in your mother's womb, I already knew what I wanted you to do. When God formed you in your mama's womb, He did not say, I formed you to be a crack addict. When God formed you in your mother's womb, He did not form you to say, you're going to drop out of high school. When God formed you in your mother's womb, He did not say, I formed you so that you can spend all of your life in jail. Those are the tricks of the devil. Those are the tricks of the devil. I know we're modern, and God bless us. We're all sophisticated. I get it. But you know, there was a time when we were growing up, at least in my own childhood, that when Daddy and Mama went to church, the whole house went to church. I know we're modern. We'll say, well, baby, I'm going to church. You don't want to go? 10 years old, nah, I ain't going today. I know we're modern. I know we're hip, cool. But understand, there's a reason for you to have an opportunity to grow spiritually. It's because God is using you and God is preparing you, and it starts at an early age. You know who needs the word the most? It is not an 80-year-old member. It is an 8-year-old member. At 80 years old, there's not a whole lot anymore I can do. Not a whole lot of trouble I can get in. I haven't seen many 80-year-olds sagging. Maybe you have. I haven't seen them. I pray I don't. But I haven't seen much of it. I haven't seen many 80-year-old gangbangers. I pray I don't, but I haven't seen an 80-year-old Crip or Blood, and, rolling, got the mind on the money and the money on the mind. I haven't seen it, and I hope I don't. I've seen many 80-year-old pimps. Got some 80-year-olds who think they pimps. But they're not cruising Halstead anymore. No. While you're young, you are the ones that the devil wants. You're the ones that he wants to ruin your life and sap you up. You're the ones. Because he knows God can use you to do something great. And he wants to start at a young age, parents. He wants to start them at a young age, grandparents. He wants to corrupt them at 5 and corrupt their minds at 10. It's important that they understand the Word of God. It's important that we take them by the hand and say, baby, let's go to the house of the Lord. God may use you to do something great. Moses' mama did all she could to position him for the very moment that God could use him for something great. That's what it's all about. As you go back to school, not just sitting in class for nothing. You're not just learning and growing for nothing. It's so that God can use you for something great.
All right.
What if, church? What if, for every young person here, what if God Just like he did young Jeremy Anderson. Just like he did a young girl who was 8 years old. And she had, at the age of 8, has developed an internet video at the age of 8, African-American female, 8 years old. Young female from the state of Florida who got a scholarship to go to Oxford, England. And has become the youngest person to graduate from law school in England. To pass the bar on the first time. What if God says, I'm going to use you to do something great? I hope that you would say, Lord, here am I. Use me in your service. Use me for your purpose. Whatever it might be. Moses tried to back away. God said, look here, Moses. I know you're out here just tending Jethro's sheep. But I'm going to use you to do something great. But Pastor, I'm just a student at East High. Doesn't matter. God can say, look, I'm going to use you to do something great. I'm just a freshman in college. God can say, I'm going to use you to do something great. Don't let the world fool you. There is such a thing as hanging out with the wrong folk. There is such a thing as being on the wrong side of the tracks. There is such a thing of making bad decisions so long that it becomes hard and almost impossible to turn it around. What if, my young brothers and sisters, God says, I'm going to use you to do something great? Are you positioning yourself for such a moment in your life? The next time I preach to you on the 4th Sunday in August, you'll be back in school. You'll be back to getting up early in the morning. If you're like my children, boy, it's almost like you had to bring a pistol and a shotgun to get them up early in the morning. To say, do I really have to get on the bus? Do I really have to go to school? Do I really have to make something out of myself? Yes. Because God can use you to do something great. God can use you.
Yes, He can.
You can be that first. Amen. You can be that young man, as Jeremy Anderson, first and youngest legislator, state of Mississippi. You can be that first. You can be that youngest and that first woman to exceed and excel in your career. You can be that first. You can be that first that breaks through in your field. Because God can call you. I'm so sick and tired of every time I turn on the news, it's about who got killed and who got shot. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that $1 billion a week in drugs goes to the south and the west side of Chicago. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about some 18-year-old because he was trying to fit into some game, shot somebody, and now will spend 40 and 50 years of his life in jail. And if the truth be told, those people are in our own family.
Yes.
Let's not sit here today in church and say that's just the south side of Chicago Christian. But some of us here today, they're members in our own family, on drugs, in gangs, could care less about their future. In fact, you got some, in case they hadn't told you yet, who think they're going to live with you for the rest of their life. Amen, likes. They didn't already, they're going to drive your car. because they got it like that. You just don't know it yet. What would happen if God said, my young brother, my young sister, I want to use you to do something great. But Pastor, I'm scared. In this closing thought, Pastor, I'm scared. I don't know how God can use you. You got to trust His word. Because He said, I will be with you.
Yes.
I will walk with you.
Yes, He will.
I will make crooked ways straight. I will open doors that no man can shut. And then when the devil gets too close to you, God will shut doors that your enemy cannot open. He's already said. He's already said, I'm going to use you. I'm going to use you to do something great. That's our word for you. My young brothers and sisters, what if? What if? What if God said, I've chosen you. I've chosen you at a young age. I've chosen you to do something great in life. And I'm preparing you now. I challenge every young person here today. Please, don't get in the way of God using you. Don't mess up the opportunity. Don't blow it. Don't listen to the wrong folk who will lead you to a life of destruction. The Lord speaks. And He calls you by name. He knew Moses by name. Moses. You mean the burning bush knows me? Yes. You mean the burning bush has plans for my life? Yes. He'll call you by name. My young girl, don't you let nobody tell you what you can't do, what you can't be. God will use you for something great. My young brother, don't listen to that crowd who is truly going nowhere. If you see them 50, 40 years later, I guarantee they're holding up the pole. God can use you to do something great. And you've got to believe that. And if you believe that, it changes how you live your life. Changes how you see yourself. And parents, maybe they're not there yet, but I want you parents and grandparents to remind them, child, God can use you to do something great. I don't know what it is. I don't have my fingers on it right now. But I know that God, when He formed you in your mother's womb, He didn't form you in your mother's womb to be a gangbanger. He didn't form you in your mother's womb to be a drug addict. He didn't form you in your mother's womb to go from school to jail. It's not why He formed you. Moses will form you and use you to do something great. Progressive. For every child in this congregation, for every grandchild that's connected, for every child that's connected, every great-grandchild that's connected, God can use you to do something great.
Yes, amen.
Do you hear me today?
Yes.
I want you to encourage your children. You might say, but Pastor, you just don't know my grand. Encourage your children. Remind them repeatedly that God can use you. Because at the rate we're going, if we don't understand that, we've got to understand that there are future Barack Obamas. There are future Michelle Obama. There are future lawyers. There are future mayors. There are future Richard Irvings. Because God can use you to do something great. Every morning. I don't care how bad they act. You might want to just help them. Say, look at me. You ain't even acting like the greatness that's in you right now. God can use you. Don't let them get you so frustrated. Tell you, say like that lady. I'm just glad for them to get out of high school. I'm just glad to get out of high school and get out of my life and get out of my wallet something great. What happened? What would it be like? God used young Joseph White, elevated his singing career. What would happen if God used Jalen in his baseball to move him up to professional status? You see, God can move us. God can promote you. God can take care of you. I wish I had somebody here that said, Pastor, I'm a living witness that when the world is all against you, God can show up. God can show up. God can make a way out of the way. Every Sunday. Some of you have come from poverty. Some of you, when you were in Mississippi, and Alabama, and Tennessee, didn't have nothing. But the Lord has brought you. Some of you come up out of the projects of Chicago, but the Lord had plans for you. The Lord blessed you. He's put a fence of protection all around. Is he worthy of some praise today? Can somebody in the house say, he's worthy? I praise him today. I worship him today. He's been gone all by himself. What if God uses you? He calls you. Go do something great. He's going to bless you. Walk by. My heart for every young person here today, my passion is that you understand God can choose you. God can choose you. But I want you to walk with him. The doors of the church open for you right now. The doors of this church open for you right now. If you do not know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, the doors of the church open for you right now. If you would be so kind as allow me to pray for you today. Parents, if you got small children, would you bring them to this altar? It's prayer time. God can use you. God can use you. He can use you and choose you to do something great. As we start school, Mom and Dad, if you're here, just take that child by the hand, encourage them. Don't want them to leave church today going, my Lord. God can use you to do something great. There's a reason you're in church today.